on it. Obviously, Federico hasn't travelled. He has been added to the Champions League squad, though, so what's the situation with him?
Yeah, he got a little niggle, I think is the word you use here in England. So in the last game against Palace, so he tried it today. He was on the pitch in the beginning, but he couldn't end the session. So we decided not to take him because in a few days it's Chelsea again.
The obvious answer is a win, but also in terms of the performance as well, what's the key element that you're really looking for in terms of a reaction to the disappointment of Saturday?
I think we always have to do, no matter if we win, lose or draw, what is asked from you if you want to compete for trophies, but let alone if you wear the Liverpool shirt, and that is giving everything you have and combine that with the best football you can play. And I think, especially in the second half, we created during the course of the game against Palace more chances than we've created in all the 3 games we've played before against Palace. But we conceded also much more chances than we did before when we played Palace. So we can definitely improve on a few things. And the things we can improve, I will show tonight. Not to you, by the way, but to the players.
Ian.
Good evening, Arne. I know you've changed your fullbacks from last season, but at the start of last season you kept 6 clean sheets in your first 10 games. So far you've kept 2 clean sheets in your first 9 games. How would you analyse your defence this season?
No, I almost like that you asked me this question, because for me defending is only a small margin defenders. So I think one of our strengths was that we kept the other team away from our goal a lot. And that normally doesn't start with your defenders, that starts somewhere else. And if you then just look in it more detailed, we've conceded 4 goals from set pieces. So yeah, we've changed our fullbacks, but we've changed a bit more than only our fullbacks. And the goals we've conceded, I should look back at it in detail, but the first thing that comes to my mind is not that the fullbacks are our problem. It's always been a team performance last season. I said this many times. The reason why we hardly concede is that 11 players work incredibly hard to make it difficult for the other team to even create a chance. And that's what we've done this season many times as well. But you can work as hard as you want, but a set piece is almost a different game inside the game. That was, by the way, that would have been maybe an even better question. That was one of our main strengths last season, that we hardly conceded from set pieces. So we have to go back to that. We haven't changed our setup. We haven't changed anything. So we have to prove in the upcoming weeks and months that we were maybe a bit unlucky in conceding some set pieces. Because that can happen in 5 or 6 games. Difficult to see it for the long term. But this is something we definitely have to improve, because I also see teams in the Premier League that win games by set pieces, and we lose games because of set pieces.
James?
Arne, just in terms of how intimidating the atmosphere is going to be here tomorrow night, what does your team need to do differently to avoid gifting Galatasaray the initiative in the same way as Palace were allowed to be on the front foot so early on Saturday?
Yeah, that depends on what you mean with the initiative, because for me, Palace didn't have the initiative if you talk about ball possession, because even the first 8 minutes were perfectly fine for me, till we've conceded a corner, where you can debate, by the way, if it was a corner, yes or no. So you have to answer to the fact why I got a yellow. And then we conceded a corner, and then we've conceded too much chances, but it wasn't because they had the initiative. It was because they counter-attacked us a few times really well, and we lost the ball in positions where we shouldn't lost it. So we have to do much better than this. I'm not sitting here telling you we played a good first half. I'm not telling you that having initiative in a game is something that is worth a lot. No, if you have initiative, it should lead to chances, and it should definitely not lead to conceding chances. But it wasn't that they were all over us. They counter-attacked us a few times really well, and we didn't do as well as we had to do. And they played a few times the ball into our last line, where they won the second ball, and that is something we need to improve. But Galatasaray is a completely different team to Palace, but also a team that's very hard to beat, similar to Palace. 18 games without a loss, Palace. This team have won the first 7 games in the league. So that means that they are mentally also strong for difficult moments. If you win a lot, then you're also mostly mentally a bit stronger. So a very difficult team to face, but with both with a lot of qualities. But you cannot compare these teams. One is playing 5-4-1, the other one is playing 4-3-3. So different players, different manager, different formation.